Now on Denver 7 News, tragedy strikes in Arvada.
That officer was a great officer, and it just, it's heartbreaking.
When a police officer is shot and killed in the line of duty.
Dylan is an example of everything that is good about a police officer.
Tonight, we are remembering Officer Dylan Vakoff as police investigate what led to his death.
Plus, 21 years later, we remember the lives lost on 9/11.
We're just climbing to hold that promise that we made back in 2001, and that was to never forget.
See how Coloradans are keeping their memories alive.
And only one day left until the Broncos take on the Seahawks. Our Denver 7 sports team is live in Seattle, getting you ready for the start of the season. Thank you for watching Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Amy Wattis.
And I'm Bayan Wang. We start off with the Arvada police officer killed in the line of duty overnight. Officer Dylan Vakoff was responding to a large family disturbance outside of a house on West 51st Avenue. While attempting to break it up, the suspect shot and killed him and injured another woman.
And you can see a memorial is already growing outside the Arvada Police Department. You can see a police car with Vakoff's picture on it, along with some flowers.
And we have team coverage tonight. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is outside of the Arvada Police Department near his growing memorial. But first, Christian Lopez has the latest on the investigation.
We are standing near the neighborhood where it all happened. This is on West 51st Avenue and Marshall Street. You can see that crime scene tape set up. We've also seen evidence markers on the ground. 2 police officers responded to a large family disturbance here at around 1 o'clock this morning. They arrived to a chaotic scene, and when they tried to break it up, a man shot and killed one of the officers. He also shot a woman who is expected to survive. We spoke to neighbors who are on edge.
About 1 a.m. last night, because we live in these first apartments right here, you could just hear a woman screaming, and you couldn't tell where the gunshots were coming from. Over and over and over.
This woman, who did not want to be identified, recalling the terrifying moments.
My friend was outside walking their dog, and the dog just scrambled inside. Everybody just ran inside because you couldn't tell north, south, east, or west where those shots were coming from.
She said her mother has lived on West 51st Avenue and Marshall Street for over 20 years.
And I'm sure that officer was a great officer. And it just, it's heartbreaking. Just to see it 20 feet from my mother, it just, my voice is quivering because of that. And to see your reporting earlier, I had tears in my eyes.
The woman who was shot is expected to survive. The suspect was also hit. He's currently in custody.
The Arvada police officer we lost this morning was Dylan Michael Vakoff, 27 years old. He has been with the Arvada Police Department since 2019. Dylan is an example of everything that is good about a police officer. He was training towards becoming a SWAT officer.
A procession transported Officer Dylan Vakoff from Lutheran Hospital to the Jefferson County Coroner's Office Sunday morning.
We get sick of it down through here, but we never expected someone to kill an officer.
Again, the suspect is in custody. Police say there is no threat to the public. Of course, our thoughts are with 27-year-old Officer Dylan Vakoff and his family and loved ones, as well as the Arvada Police Department. Reporting in Arvada, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
All right, Christian, thank you. And now to Denver 7's Colette Bordelon, who joins us live outside of the Arvada Police Department.
Colette, people have been going there all day to pay their respects.
All day since early this morning, Officer Dylan Vakoff had been with the Arvada Police Department for around 3 years. He was training to become a SWAT officer. Before that, he served as a staff sergeant in the Air Force, and he graduated from Ralston Valley High School. I talked with a woman who went through elementary, middle, and high school with Vakoff. What she remembers most, above all else, is his kindness.
Oh God, not again.
Again, Arvada is grieving.
So young. He's young enough to be my son.
Grieving a man who set an example.
He was a great man and he did a lot for us.
Paisley Vincent is only 9 and brought a single rose, now lost in a sea of flowers.
Why would they do that? Because he didn't do anything to deserve that.
One of many people who came to pay their respects.
He was always so kind to everyone.
Still sees the boy who became Officer Dylan Michael Vakoff.
Not much has changed, still very kind eyes.
Flipping through her middle school yearbook.
Gosh, it's just, you look back and you don't realize the memories and what they will mean to you.
Hasn't changed much, maybe a little less gel.
All of the stories come rushing back to Shauna Jantz.
When the strangest, most devastating things happened in our lives, he always found a way to look at the bright side. And I think that's what he would want us to do here.
From serving in the Air Force to joining the Arvada Police Department in 2019.
Gosh, Dylan, we're just so proud of you. You're such an example to this community.
Seeing how far he came is what she chooses to remember.
It sets a precedent of the kind of nobility and honor that I hope comes from this upcoming generation as well.
And when we asked what this young girl wants to be when she grows up,
A cop.
the answer is something Jantz calls a testament to who Officer Vakoff was.
To see that a little girl was so inspired. She wasn't afraid. This devastation, this atrocity, this evil didn't make her back down. It made her want to fight for the good. And that reminds me so much of Dylan.
Still able to picture the way he would smile
I hope he's happy wherever he is.
if he could see the example he set. The Arvada Police Department says Officer Vakoff's sacrifice and service will never be forgotten. They also released a link where donations can be given. That link can be found on denver7.com. Live from Arvada, Colette Bordelon on Denver 7.
And such a loss for the community. Thank you, Colette. Governor Polis released a statement this morning on Officer Vakoff's death. He says, "My thoughts are with the family and friends of Arvada Officer Dylan Michael Vakoff, who was tragically killed in the line of duty while responding to a call. We will continue to monitor this situation."
And of course, our thoughts are with the family right now. We'll have much more on Officer Vakoff's death here on air and on our website, denver7.com. You can also watch our coverage at any time on the free Denver 7 Plus app.
The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is investigating an apparent murder-suicide. Deputies responded to a home near West Ellsworth and Garland Street after two children rang their neighbor's doorbell to ask for help with their parents. The neighbor went to the children's home and found the father shot on the front porch. The mother was found shot inside of a car. Deputies say both were dead by the time they arrived on scene. The children are unharmed and are being taken care of by the sheriff's office.
21 years ago today, nearly 3,000 people died in the September 11th terrorist attacks. This is a live look at New York City, where two beams of light will soon light up on top of One World Trade Center. This happens every year on this date to pay tribute to the victims.
And today there were memorials held across the country to remember the lives lost. President Biden attended a wreath-laying ceremony at the Pentagon where 184 people died. In a speech, he called on all Americans to look to the future to protect democracy and freedom.
It's not enough to gather and remember each September 11th those we lost more than 2 decades ago, because on this day, it is not about the past, it's about the future. We have an obligation, a duty, a responsibility to defend, preserve, and protect our democracy.
First Lady Jill Biden also attended a ceremony in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, paying tribute to the heroic actions of the Americans on United Flight 93.
Colorado Senator Michael Bennet released a statement in remembrance of the attacks. He said, in part, the true legacy of September 11th is not the attacks themselves, but America's response. The terrorists sought to destroy our freedom, democracy, and way of life. They failed. We met their fear with hope. We answered their hatred with unity. We faced the darkness and endured. In the years ahead, we must hold on to that shared sense of patriotism and purpose to protect our nation.
Here in Denver, 343 firefighters participated in a stair climb at 1801 California Street, a 55-story building downtown. The fully equipped firefighters start at the basement and then climb up to the roof. You can see them there doing that. And after they go back to the bottom, they do it all again. That allows them to climb 110 total floors, the same number of floors as the Twin Towers.
We're just climbing to hold that promise that we made back in 2001, and that was to never forget the sacrifice made by the 343 firefighters that were killed on September 11th.
Organizers say they are starting to see firefighters join the stair climb who weren't even born yet in 2001, and that it's nice to see the tradition passed down to the next generation.
Another stair climb was also held today at Red Rocks. Each participant pays tribute by completing 9 laps around the amphitheater, which is equivalent to climbing 110 stories. The stair climb directly benefits the FDNY Counseling Services Unit and the programs provided by the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation.
Well, moving on to other news, specifically the Broncos, who are just about 24 hours away from the season opener in Seattle.
That's right, and we have team coverage tonight from Seattle. Denver 7's Jason Grinauer is keeping track of all the fans out there right now. But first, let's get over to Broncos insider Troy Rank with the expectations for tomorrow.
Yes, welcome to Seattle, Amy and Bayan. Shock, it's starting to rain, imagine that. But yes, this stadium right behind my right shoulder is where the Broncos will open their season in about 24 hours. Now, it is a big deal, the most anticipated season opener since Peyton Manning made his debut a decade ago. Why? Because of the return of Russell Wilson to Seattle. Now, will he get booed? Will he get cheered? I imagine he'll get booed, but he'll be comfortable at Lumen Field. He's 19-4 in primetime games here. What I want to see and what teammates want to see is no shirt, no shoes, still getting service. Russell Wilson is at his best when he breaks all the rules when plays break down. We haven't really seen that in practice, and you don't see it in the preseason because the Broncos starters did not play. But it's not just about Wilson. He is helping these other players. He's talking to Justin Simmons about how to defend the Seahawks offense. And the Broncos, they need to play complementary football. They need to run the football well. But the reality is, if you're watching the AFC West games today, you guys know it, Russell Wilson needs to play well if the Broncos are going to return to the playoffs for the first time since Super Bowl 50, and that all starts here tomorrow night at Lumen Field. Amy, Bayan.
All right, thanks, Troy. Now let's bring in Denver 7's Jason Grinauer, also live in Seattle.
Jason, Broncos fans out there are ready for the big game.
Yeah, Amy, Bayan, was there really any question that Broncos country would show up and show out ahead of such a big matchup here in Seattle? Well, as they say, the truth is in the video, so let's show it to you. Just about 90 minutes ago, the scene at the base of the iconic Space Needle, fans from all over here in Seattle, as well as those who made the trip into town gathering. This was all put on by the Denver Broncos Fans of Seattle group, a group that we're told is about 3,000 strong, as well as, like I mentioned, those visiting fans who are here to support the Broncos. Oh, and then Miles the mascot showed up for good measure, all to take a photo and really start getting excited ahead of that game. We talked to a few fans. Take a listen.
A lot of us so this is a community that there's a lot of people that just grew up as Bronco fans. There's people that are from Denver.
Let's ride! We've been out here for 4 years, but we'll always be diehard Bronco fans.
Always bleed orange and blue. Go Broncos!
Go Broncos always!
It just grew and grew and grew. We just kept outgrowing different bars and meetups, and then it's turned into this. We have like almost 3,000 people in our DBFS, Denver Broncos Fans of Seattle thing going on.
Bronco baby, let's ride!
And here is the end result, that photo here at the base of the Space Needle. So what do Broncos fans do on the eve of such a big season opening matchup here in Seattle? Well, they head to the Bronco Backer Bar, where they're having what they're calling an Orange Herd Rally, and we are heading there as well. Denver 7, the only local crew to document the photo. We're going to head to the bar with the fans. We'll bring you that report coming up tonight on Denver 7 News at 10. Reporting live in Seattle, I'm Jason Grinauer.
Jason,
you're
He's got the best assignment out there.
He does, absolutely. And Vegas has Broncos as the favorites. I'm not always with Vegas. I am this time, though. Thanks, Jason. And just a reminder, Denver 7 is your home for the Broncos season opener against Seattle. Our pregame coverage begins tomorrow at 5 p.m. before kickoff at 6:15. We'll also have a postgame show directly after the game.
Well, coming up, preparations are underway for Queen Elizabeth's funeral. See how the UK is paying respects as her procession travels down to London.
Plus, seeing one of Colorado's most famous sights just got a little harder, why you won't be able to drive to the top of Mount Evans. Next.